to start, you're going to need to print off the paper patterns for the classic Street Devil design. And yes, I know, we all know what character this is for, but copyright's a thing, so. Okay, you're going to need 3mm foam, 1mm foam, a Sharpie, scissors, a craft knife, and painter's tape. You could swap out the 3mm for 5mm foam, but I still recommend the 3mm. It's going to be lighter and a much more comfortable wear. Begin by cutting out the paper pattern pieces. You'll also need to cut out the triangle marks on piece A. Next, using the two X marks, tape together the B1 and B2 into one single B piece like so. The X marks should now face each other. Next, draw out all of the paper patterns onto the correct thickness of foam. You're also going to want to label each piece and add any of the triangle marks or cutting marks, those dots and lines on pieces C, D, E, and F, onto your foam. When drawing out piece G4, I'd also add an arrow to make sure you know which side is the top. Once you've drawn out all of the patterns on the foam, you can start to cut them all out.
Edges with line markers indicate that you need to cut away from the shape at about 45 degrees. This creates an extended face. Edges with dotted guides indicate that you need to cut into the shape at about 45 degrees. This creates an inverted face.
Okay, so to begin construction, you're going to add glue on either side of this gap on the A pieces. Once the glue is set, press the two edges together like so. The foam will start to curl inward or outward, which is what we want, so don't fight this. You're going to do the same thing for the other A piece if you haven't already. Next, we're going to combine the two B pieces along this edge here so that they're curving away from each other. Once the glue is set, starting at whatever end you like, begin combining the two B pieces like so. I do want to point out, though, that the front of this piece is going to be the one with the point. All right, again, they are going to start to curve as you put them together. That's fine. Again, we want this effect, so don't fight. All right, as you're putting it together, if one side of the foam's seams, where the two pieces are combined, looks better than the other, you can actually just flip the curve orientation by pressing down and popping the curve the other way. That way, the better seams are facing outward. All right, now we're going to attach the A piece to one side of the B piece, to the beginning of that gap that we glued together on piece A here. You're going to orient it so that the point on the A piece and the point of the now two B pieces are facing the same direction. Apply glue to the outside edge of piece B, and from this point on piece A, once the glue is set, starting at the front of piece A, again the one with the point here, Begin attaching the A piece to the B piece. Repeat these steps for the other A piece on the other side of the B piece. Next, we're going to work on the face of the mask by first putting together the nose piece. Apply glue to both of these inward cut edges on either D piece. Once the glue is set, combine the two D pieces by pressing the two inward cut edges together like so. Put these aside for now. Alright, now, starting from this mark on the A piece, apply glue on the inside face of the A piece, as well as on the inside of the B piece near the point. Also apply glue along this entire outer edge on the C piece, the opposite of that gap in it. To make it easier for the next step, I'd also recommend replicating the mark that is now on the outside of piece A onto the inside of piece A. Once the glue is set, starting at the marker on piece A, press the edge of piece C again on the inside of the helmet so that it opens towards the center of the helmet like so. Make sure you try your best to match the edge of piece A and B with the now outward face of the C piece so that they're flat. Again, just try your best. Repeat this process for the other C piece on the other side of the helmet. The two C pieces should meet inside, again inside the helmet, but at the point of piece B. Next, apply glue to these outward cut edges on piece C, as well as on the outward face at the top of piece C here, just behind the point of piece B. You're also going to apply glue on these outer edges opposite of those inward cuts on the combined D piece here and here. Once the glue is set, lining up the bottom of both the C and D piece like so, and starting on only one side, combine the D piece to the outward cut edges of either C piece and then to the outward face of the C piece here and here. Alright, now let's work on the horns. Apply glue to the two smaller of the inward cut edges of two opposite facing E pieces like so. You can tell they're opposite because, well, they're triangles and one of them has that inward kind of like slight curve, so you're going to apply glue to the other two edges, not the curved one. You're also going to apply glue to the two inward cut edges of one of the F pieces. Once the glue is set, press the two shorter edges of the E pieces that we glued onto the two inward cut edges of the F piece like so. Then press the two other edges of the E piece together behind the F piece. You're most likely going to need to pinch the top of the horn like so to combine the remaining edges. Alright, now you can go ahead and make the second horn if you haven't already. For the next couple of steps, it will be easier if you can put the helmet down on something like a foam head or some sort of rest. If you don't have something like this, no worries. If you want something like this, go look at your local dollar store. Nowadays, they do have foam heads like the one I'm using here. To attach the horns, I added the marks on the A pieces to assist you. Using these as guides, draw out where you want the horns to go. The F pieces should face the front of the mask. And apply glue to this outlined area, as well as the remaining bottom edges of the horns that we haven't glued yet. Once the glue is set, press the horns into your outlined area. You can stop now if you'd like and customize the rest of the Street Devil cowl however you want, but I also provided some additional armor. That's what I'm going to show you going forward. We're going to begin by attaching the G1 and all of the G2 pieces along the top of the helmet. The bottom of G1, or the side with the point, should match the point of the helmet like so. Placing G1 so there's a 2 to 3 centimeter distance between the edge of the B piece. Make sure G1 is centered along the center seam and then draw out where G1 is going to go. Then, matching the top of G1 to the front of G2 like a puzzle piece, you're going to draw out where G2 is going to go. Again, allow a bit of space between the two pieces. You're going to repeat these steps for the remaining G2 pieces all the way back up the helmet. Once you're ready, apply glue to all of these outlined areas on piece B and on an entire face of the G1 and all of the G2 pieces. Once the glue is set, press G1 and the G2 pieces into place. We're going to repeat these steps for the G3 and G4 pieces. However, G3 is going to be on the side of the helmet on piece A. Piece 4 should, just like G1 and G2, fit like a puzzle just below G3. And again, you're going to want a gap between the two. Again, you're going to want about a 1 or 2 centimeter gap between it and the seam between piece A and B underneath it. Apply glue to both of the outlined areas and onto the entire face of the remaining G pieces. Once the glue is set, place the G3 and G4 pieces onto the side of the helmet where we outlined, and that's it. You're done building the Street Devil helmet, or at least the classic look. If you didn't already, you might want to check out the Flix version as well. Because I don't know how big someone's head is really going to be, I left the chin strap open and allowed you to decide how you want to close it or whatever fits you best. Alright, and that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and I hope the template helps you in your cosplay adventures. Please like and subscribe, and if you are so inclined, take a look at the description below to find more ways that you can help and support me and my craft.